Okay, this is a test. This is a test. This is a test. That's pretty darn good.
Check, 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 check.
Check. Test. 1, 2. Test. Hi everyone. I'm just kind of getting set up here. Bear with me with the echoes and things. Just trying to get set up for better. I'm trying to get a better sound today on the piano. Welcome, Jorge. I think the piano sounds a lot better now, but I think we're still getting not as much sustain. Anyway. Okay. Okay. All right. Just managing the phones that I'm using for camera to make sure I got enough battery. All right. Okay. So we should have good good audio at this point. Good evening, Tim Schlotz. Give me an idea how the piano sounds to you. I'm gonna just not record. I'm gonna play a couple of chords. Tell me about the audio quality of that, if you would, if you don't mind. Is it sounding pretty good? Let's see. All right. Let's see. You give me it's pretty good. Um, does it cut out the sustain? I get the feeling like if I hold a chord, that chord is going on, but I think for you it's maybe damping it, maybe limiting it there. Is that the case? Sorry, I just need your help to get set up. I want to try and have the best best demonstration of what we're doing as possible. So okay. Let's see. It's dropping out. Yeah. Yeah, it's dropping out. But at least it sounds like a piano, right? Yeah, and unfortunately with the software that I'm streaming with, it's not the best setup for like a live performance, so you'll just have to bear with me on that right now. Um, but hopefully we get the idea. I think it at least sounds like a piano. It's just we're not hearing the full sustain that might be there on the instrument, right? So let me. Okay, I'm just gonna get a tripod out here. Now this instrument's sounding pretty good as it is right now. Um, there's a couple things that I want to change. Pianists, a lot of pianists that I work with tend to want to have a light piano, one that's easy to play, difficult repertoire with. Okay, so bear with me. I'm just putting my head together and getting started here tonight. But I'm going to take out the action and. Okay. So last night I worked till pretty late, and there comes a fatigue point where you'll think either something sounds really great, and then you go back the next day and it doesn't sound good, or you think it sounds just awful, and you go back the next day and you're like, oh, that's not so bad. In this case, it's the second one. Thankfully, it sounds a lot better than what I remember. I was really fussing over this area. But it's actually quite good. It just needs a little bit of refinement there. The other thing is the touch is a little bit heavy, and a 9-foot piano, the actions can be a little heavier. So I'm going to do a little experiment. I hope you'll bear with me while I experiment a little bit here. So I'm just going to take C5 here and show. So I'm going to show you this joint here, that pin. It's got red cloth around it, and there's a pin, and then it's clamped in place with a pressure fit with a hole in the middle piece, a hole in this wood right here through that. So the wood clamps the pin, holding it still, and then the outsides, this fork, have these holes with red cloth that make it a tighter fit, or a controlled fit, but it can still move, okay? And I just want you to pay attention. Right now, if I'm just going to drop this is just an arbitrary, it's not arbitrary, it's a relative demonstration of how much friction is on this joint. Now with my finger, when I push this, I can feel some resistance. I can feel some friction, okay? And I'm just going to drop this. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now I'm gonna put something on this. Better grab the right bottle. I've got some hammer hardener. I better not grab that bottle. I'm gonna put a drop of something on this on either side. It's not a lubricant. If it works, I'll tell you what it is, if my experiment works, okay? Okay, now, immediately, I feel more than half the resistance that I felt before, okay? Now, if I let this swing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 3 times the amount of swings that I had. Now, some technicians get really focused on putting these joints together and pinning them and reaming them in such a way as they have a specific number of grams resistance. I will admit that I think resistance can be good in one of the parts, which is the repetition lever that supports the weight of it. But as far as the freedom for the hammer to move, I feel like the less friction on this part, the better in general, okay? As long as it's tightly pinned, okay? What I put on there didn't make it wobbly at all, okay? It just freed it up quite a lot, okay? And it's still that way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and ever more free, okay? That's not alcohol either. So I'm going to put this, I can't translate how this piano feels to you, but it feels like it would be a lot of work to play a piece with fast repetitions and fast moving passages, okay? Now I'm going to put this hammer back on, and it's not any more, let me get my camera here. Some technicians would just be horrified and alarmed that I did this, but I think it's just a lack of understanding, okay? So this is the hammer I did, and as I kind of put some friction and move across these parts, this is not moving side to side any more than any of the other parts. So it's holding its position really nicely, and there's a lot less friction. Now, we have a little bit of a test. I can play the note above it and see and let go and see how that responds up with the spring. And then I'm going to do the note that I just dressed. The spring's it's not acting extra bouncy or anything, but it is much more free. Now, if I were to weigh at the front of the key how much force it takes to push this key down, the weight now to push it down on this note would be considerably less. Okay, my guess is about 2 or 3 grams lighter, or maybe even more, and that's considerable. Okay, now, and there's one more joint that plays a part when you're pushing the hammer up. Okay, and it's in the back component here. It's this repetition, or no, sorry, it's called a whip-in or a repetition. Steinway in the U.S. calls these repetitions like it's a noun. And there's a joint where that attaches, okay? So I could take that part off and also put that liquid there, okay? Now I feel much, much less resistance on that key, okay? I don't have to take them all off to do that, okay? But I'm just going to kind of confirm with that note what it sounds like to me. You're not going to notice a big, you know, earth-shattering difference from the camera or the stream or anything, but I will feel a difference, and I'll try and describe it to you. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's a note that I didn't dress. So I dressed the C and I didn't dress the B. It's much, much less work to repeat the C than it is the B, the note that we dressed. So I'm going to apply that to the entire, to all those parts, okay? And I'll tell you what it is. And this isn't something I came up with, you know. It's something I learned from somebody else. And I tried it just before a concert. There was a Steinway D. For whatever reason, with the weather, the conditions at that time, the piano, which was normally a great piano, felt really sluggish and difficult to play. And this is a high level concert, you know, one of the best teachers in the world. I think it was, oh, I can't remember her name, but anyway, she was kind of concerned a little bit. And I hadn't seen the piano before, and I went to it, and I had heard about the possibility of this technique in freeing up a Steinway action in particular. So I tried it, and it made it a whole new piano. Um, and a lot of times pianists will talk about, let's see here, they'll talk about a piano breaking in or feeling like a new piano versus feeling like a piano that's played in, broken in. Some technicians resist the idea that there's any such thing as breaking in a piano. They say, no, it should be prepped right from the start. But I have noticed that pianists do notice the difference between a piano that's been played a lot and the parts have less friction in them over time. The joints or the fit of the keys is a little looser, and so there's less friction in the system, and that equates to a lighter weight and a faster response. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out and put it on the workbench. Okay, let's see here. We can get a good view. Whoops. There we go. And I'm going to apply this same liquid, but I'm going to get a longer needle for it. That's a lot easier for application. And if you're joining, super welcome to you. It's been fun to connect with people in this way. It's funny, I even had my sister and my brother the other day. They said, "Hey, we saw you on your live stream," and they didn't even know that I was doing this. It popped up in their feed or something. But so I thought that was kind of funny. Okay, now this liquid, I have to be careful with it. I don't want it to get anywhere than on those joints in this case. Just use this longer spout. Now my goal is a lighter, more fluid feeling action that's easier to play, not feeling heavy. Okay. Oh boy, I'm going to check if I have a tool. Okay, to demonstrate this a little bit. Even if I don't, I might be able to demonstrate it in another way. And that won't work. Bear with me. Okay. Now, there is a time and place where you wouldn't want to do what I'm doing with these. Let's see. I wonder if I can. I'm looking for something to act as a weight so we can see the relative weighting on the keys here. Unfortunately, this piece is just a little too heavy. Let's see if I can find something a little lighter, because I didn't have the tool I was looking for. But let's try my baby wrench. Let's see if my baby wrench does anything for me here. Um, no, that's also just this wrong. Let's see. Okay, I have some what are these called? My brain is fried. I can't even remember. Socket wrench bits. Okay, socket bits. And let's see the weight on them. If I put this at the end of the key, it doesn't push the key down. Still doesn't. Let's see if I put both of these on with the quarter and a dime I found. No, I need to get one more socket bit. Okay. We are going to find our magic bit here, okay? Got some socket bits just to kind of demonstrate um, in a relative sort of way, not a quantitative sort of way, what I'm working at and trying to free up this action and make it feel lighter, okay? Let's try this one. No. Okay, how about this? If I put this bigger one and then a baby one on top of it. And then if I put this quarter and this dime on top of that, I do have tools for this, but they're just not with me here at the dealer. Look, with these two socket wrenches on the end of the key about where the finger goes, and then if I put a quarter on them, then it moves, okay? Now I'm going to take this assembly and put it here. Oh, it moves there too, actually. Let's see. Let's see if I can make a difference here. Okay, that one just barely goes right there, okay? If I tap it, it'll go. There it goes. Okay, let's see if this one will do the same. It will. But now I'm going to dress it with that fluid, that B. So, I think what we have here is just a difference in them. So I'm going to apply some of this fluid just a drop to that joint, okay, on the B. Now, let's see how it behaves with this same setup. I don't have to hit it anymore, you see? It just goes automatically. In fact, it might even go here. No, okay. Okay, let's try this one. Let's see here. Okay, so the B goes down. All right. Just bear with me. There's a point to all this. The B goes down when I just said it. The G does not. I'm going to address the G. Okay, and I'm going to work that up and down just a couple times. Now I'm going to apply this same weight to the B, the G, I mean. Wait. Still doesn't. Okay. So the difference I'm making is not huge. I don't know how many grams this quarter is. Let's see if I can do this differently. I'm just playing around, okay? So you're just kind of playing around with me. I hope you don't mind. The B goes down really freely, and the G goes down okay. Let me feel this. The G wasn't going down before, much at all. C, B, A, G. The F is a little slower, right? If you watch it. Okay, I'm gonna address it. Okay, now we're gonna watch the F. Goes down now. There's a little bit of so this is kind of interesting. I'm not seeing a huge difference on the weight that I'm putting after I dress those parts. But for those of you who are just joining, I'm gonna pull another hammer. Okay, here's the E, all right? Let's look at this E. Place the weights. It goes down quite slowly, all right? I'm gonna make my change here and then put it down again. Now it's a lot more free, right? That's probably about a gram or two difference, what I'm seeing in the speed, just from my experience in weighing off actions. I was looking for a note that was kind of demonstrating it nicely that way. Okay, the G is hardly going down. It's not going down all the way. We'll dress it, see if we can push it over the edge. Let's try again. Okay, now it goes down. I'm going to address the repetition lever flange, which is the only other hinge that's playing a role when you're pushing the hammer up. It's the only other joint. It goes down even more freely, okay? Okay, I'm going to take this F that's not going down all the way, and I'm going to just dress the repetition lever flange and see if we can see a difference in the way that weight behaves. Okay, let's see now. Not so much. Maybe a little bit of a difference, right? It eventually goes down, whereas before it kind of got stuck. Now it's actually going down, so that's maybe a gram, half a gram difference, I'm guessing. I think it's a gram. Okay, now I'm going to dress the hammer flange on that one, on the F here. And we'll take a look at it. Just gently letting it go. Now it's quite free. Okay. So it's definitely instantly freeing up the parts on this piano. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and dress all the hammer flanges and all the repetition flanges. So I may have just by doing stuff like this, I don't know. Maybe I scared some people off, but I wasn't going to work on this piano very long tonight. But it was just bothering me from yesterday how I still wanted to make improvements on it. Okay. If you see the liquid running on the wood, it's no issue. Um, it'll evaporate very, very quickly or flash off. Now, when I stick this back in the piano, I'm going to attempt to give you a reaction and description of how different it feels without overstating it or over dramatizing it. We'll see if I'm capable of that, because I want you so bad to kind of experience what I'm experiencing right here up close, but of course you can't feel the action yourself. You'll have to use your imagination, I guess, and just trust my description. Um, some people might say "Oh, I can't believe you're, doing something, experimenting with with such an expensive piano. Aren't you worried you're going to ruin it?" I'm not worried I'm going to ruin it. I have an understanding of things, and at the worst case here, I would maybe need to switch out some parts, which I'm capable of doing, and I can get the parts and have insurance and all that. So I'm not worried. It's not a big risk that I'm taking. Plus, I've done this before. After testing it on some dummy parts, I just haven't done it to a brand new piano to see if it had as much effect. So that was kind of the question in my mind: is would it still have as much of effect even though this is a brand new piano? And so far, the answer is yes, it does. Now, this will only work, as far as I know, with Steinway pianos. At least I can say this much: I've tried it on one other type of piano to test it, and it didn't do anything. So where I pulled that hammer shank and we saw the big difference in how many swings there were, it didn't make any difference in the swings in another piano that I did. Okay, and there's a reason for that. And that's not pointing out any deficiency of these parts. It's just a property. It's just a property of these parts, the way they're made, that might just allow me to sometimes make a piano feel lighter in a really easy way. If it's a Steinway. So, and I find that to be a really useful thing, because a lot of the instruments I'm tuning are on in a concert stage are a Steinway 9-foot, just like this. And if someone wants something a little lighter, I have another tool in my belt that I could possibly use if the setting is right to help them have a good concert. So, I'm just dripping that in here. Okay. after I do this, I better fine tune the piano. It was kind of moving around after that rough tuning yesterday, and I just want it more crystal clear in tune. And I think I'm going to strengthen just a few notes that sound a little, they feel a little weak, I should say, under the fingers. The tone response feels a little weak compared to some of their neighbors. And so I'll put some hardener on those, some paraloid B72, and then it'll dry while I'm tuning, and then I should be all set at that point to just do some final needling and stop fussing with this piano. Call it good. Now, I should say that a standard, well, how can I say that? There is some thinking out there that these joints, this joint where the hammer hangs, should be adjusted so that it's about, 4 grams, 4 to 5 to 7 grams, depending on the manufacturer or person who's doing it, 4 grams of resistance. Or you might say, some people will say, we want, what do they say, 5 to 7 swings or something. And then I've heard comments about some certain piano manufacturers, like Steinway sometimes, or Yamaha's. A technician will say, well, I tested that part and I swung it, and it swung 10 or 12 times. It's terrible. They're sending us loose parts. Well, the part isn't loose. It's holding its position just fine. It just has a lot of freedom, and those pianos work really well. So I'm not an engineer, but I think what am I trying to say? I don't think friction is a good thing in general with parts, when you think about wear. And also, if you want something that's light and free and responsive, you don't want a lot of friction in the way. Okay. Okay, so I dressed all those joints. So there's the 2 major joints, just for review. And I'm seeing in the comments from George, so we have a hint. It's not alcohol and it's not water. Yeah, it's not alcohol, it's not water, it's not a lubricant that we use in the industry called ProLube. It's not a lubricant in that way. So I'm going to play the piano and I'll tell you what it is. But first, just to reiterate, there's 2 joints of friction that have a bearing when you push the key down and raise the hammer up, okay? You can see 4 we call them centers. You can see 4 different centers in this picture. They're where the red dots are. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? But these 2, one is just holding this spring in place, and the other one is just to pivot this repetition lever, and that doesn't occur unless you put the hammer in check, and then the hammer drops down on it, and it loads that spring, and then because the spring's loaded, it'll pop up, and the jack returns back underneath the knuckle. See, so it escapes from the knuckle, pops up, and returns under the knuckle, okay? So those 2 don't have a bearing when you're pushing down the key. You're not feeling any friction there. But these 2 do. The hammer shank flange, or the hammer flange, and the whipping flange, okay? And a flange, we use that word so much in piano parts, it's just an attachment point, right? So that's where they attach the rail, that's where they touch the rail. And we call them action centers, the technical term that we use, okay? So I applied that liquid to both sets of action centers that have a bearing when you're playing the key. And I can already tell just putting my hands on it, the keys just go, my hand just falls and they just go with my hand. It's really a good thing. Okay, let's stick this back in. I just about killed you all there. Or my phone anyway. Okay, there we go. Let's stick this in. Now this can have an effect on the tone a little bit. could make it seem a little brighter when there's less friction and you're able to hit things harder or with higher velocity with less effort. But again, it won't be too dramatic. Not in a bad way anyway. Maybe in a good way. Yeah, I really like that. My hands are tired and stiff tonight. So it's a very dynamic instrument, and it feels way lighter and easier to play and free. It feels more like a broken-in piano. Okay, if I were to say that in a good way. Okay, it's still brand new. The parts are aligned well. We've got a lot of good. The parts are stable. It's not. The springs aren't overly active or anything. So I really like it. So the mystery fluid, okay, is acetone. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I thought I had a bottle. I don't, but it's acetone. You could get that at your beauty supply store, nail polish remover. If it's clear acetone, or in your pretty much any hardware store. Now, my understanding, what I was told, why this works, is that those cloths that those pins are turning in are treated in these Steinway parts with a fluid, a lubricant that has Teflon in it. So the Teflon gets impregnated in the cloth to help those parts be free. Okay. And when you apply acetone to it, my understanding is, if this is wrong, someone can correct me, is that it dissolves the Teflon and reconstitutes it and makes it more free that way. So this is just kind of a concert trick. If a piano, if the action centers are feeling a little bit sluggish because of humid weather or whatever, a person could apply this and it'll feel much better. Or maybe in this case where it's a new piano and you don't want it to feel like a new piano, you want someone to feel very comfortable right off the bat. That might be an application for it. I had, like I said, I tested it out with some just spare parts I had first, and then in that one concert situation, and in a matter of 5 minutes, it was a different action. So I think that's a good thing in general. But you tell me what you think in the chats. Okay, we are going to. I'm just going to replace my spout, put it back where it is so that I can keep track of what fluid is what. Don't want to mix those up. So this one is my lubricant traditionally that I have the long needle on, and this is a product called ProTech. And then this is the bottle of acetone, and the bottle's been stained yellow so I can recognize it. And then my bottle with the red cap, that's paraloid. That's a hardener. It's a glue basically that's very, very thin. I put a red cap on it, just, warning, be careful. Don't use this as a lubricant dummy, to myself, a note to myself. So, all right, so now we are pretty close to where we want to be. So this C, it's bright. It has a lot of noise that comes from this front part of the piano here. Let me show you. There's a lot of noise coming from this length of string, the waist ends. So when I mute it, it takes away those frequencies. So when I take that away, that noise, by putting my finger here, it's actually a weaker note than some of its neighbors. This is a very strong note. But these four, about C to E flat, are not quite as strong. These are plenty strong. What I'm listening for is a softer blow and a harder blow. And I'm listening for that tone to come up and change color. So the E does it to me. And I can feel that more than you can hear it, okay? I'm going to do B flat to E flat. And I'm going to hit it with paraloid, okay? And I'm going to do it just before I tune. That way, by the time I get up to that area, or by the time I'm done tuning, it will have dried. And in this case, I'm not going to mess around. These are new hammers. They're still really quite soft on the top, actually. I'm just going to put a stripe across the top on those. One more here. And let that soak in. And a little more on the fronts and the backs. So I'm really not messing around here. I'm going to needle down to where I want to be after I bring these up. I might as well listen to the piano, see if there's any other areas. But I don't think there are that bothered me. Because I want to be able to soften the layers of felt on the hammer on the, that make contact first with the string, so that it gets the ugly, harsh metallic sound out of the attack, out of the note. But I want the note to be strong still and be balanced. And with that C, if I had muted that off or needled it so that it wasn't as active, I would have a weaker note then. I'm just going to put some on the very last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes of the piano, just because they don't have quite as much growl and sparkle. I can make them big and loud, but they don't have as much brightness. It kind of drops off, and if anything, I want that to kind of like, tail up in color and volume. So let's see. Are there any comments in the chat? How long does the application of acetone last? I can tell you this. I tuned the piano that I did it for the concert was oh, how long ago was that? Maybe about a month ago or so. And then I tuned for a recording on that same piano today, and it still felt great. So at least a month. And I'll tune on it tomorrow again. And we've had some rainstorms. Things have gotten a little more humid, so so I don't know, but it lasts at least a month. Let's put that way. More data to follow, I guess, as time goes on. Okay, so the last 7 hammers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me bring you with me. You can just get up close to the action here. All right. So I'm just going to put a drop, and it's starting from E flat down, and I'm going to try and avoid the air. Okay, maybe I'll put 3 drops. The area where when you use the una corda pedal, it hits the felt. I would like that to stay soft and a different sound, you know. So there, that's all. Just a few drops, and then I'm going to carefully put my bottle away. Now let's tune again. So if anyone wasn't around the other night, we had a little bit of some discussion around tuning since I had to tune the piano anyway, and I thought, well, might as well turn it into a question and answer. So let's do the same tonight. If you have any questions about tuning, let's kind of direct the chat to that. I'm going to go ahead and bring my computer around where I can see the chats easily while I'm tuning, okay? And so I will go ahead and tune this orally again, just to, you know, for the sake of discussion and all that. And, you know, and I like the sound when I do that. So. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is put a temperament strip in. Oh, I apologize for that. I really need to learn how to use this tripod better, huh? Okay. Yeah, so as you rack your brain, what questions or what thoughts do you have on tuning by tuning orally and tuning a piano? Do some of you not tune and you're just kind of tuning into the broadcast for whatever reason? Someone left, so someone really doesn't care about tuning, maybe. I don't know. But no, we all got things to do, right? So, but yeah, let me know. Feel free to post it in the chat. Okay. Okay. I'll just check if we're close to A with my fork. You're not gonna hear this, sorry. Okay, we're close to the A. Sounds like this F might be a little sharp, but we'll find out in a minute. So the A hasn't moved too much. So George says he's a very beginner on tuning. That's great. So I'm going to tune the octave, make it sound good. If you haven't checked out my tuning videos, there's a video on how to check a fifth and check a fourth with a check note that sets up beats. We want that fifth to be a little bit narrow and then this fourth to be wide, a little bit more wide. just checking the 5th and the 4th there. And I go around the circle of 4th, 5th that I'm alternating a 5th and 4th and a 5th. Maybe I'll put this down where you can see my hands if you want. See if you can see. It's kind of backwards though. Hopefully that's okay for you. I'm gonna tune B now. This F sharp's a little flat. You can interrupt me with the chat. It doesn't make any noise. I can read while I tune. So that sounds a little better. So this 5th sounds too busy. So the G sharp's probably flat. Sure enough, when I pulled it up, it's more pure now. My tripod's sitting on notes, lifting up the damper, so I have to lift it every once in a while. Kirk Loy says, I've watched your tuning videos. I am much more aware of the beats now. I am excited to tune my piano once I get it put back together. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a key thing. And I think hearing those videos with the beats amplified and isolated, and then you can visually see the waveform, I think that teaches your brain so fast what you're listening for. And when you tune Arley, it's not totally like that, right? Our brain doesn't filter out just that frequency. And so you have to kind of work with the other partials beating that you're hearing at the same time. But I think it really helps train you to tune very well. I was thinking of doing a series of short videos that are basically just like hearing beats as a practice video, so taking a 4th and saying, okay, listen to this, is it slower or faster, or is it the same, or here's the note, what's the check note for this interval, as just kind of review. And then, I mean, someone could be driving around and listening to that and hearing those beats amplified with that filter, and be getting better at tuning without tuning. That's kind of my theory. But tell me what you think on that. Kirk Loy says, when you say wide and narrow, is that slower and faster beats per second? No. What I mean by that is if you could tune a pure 5th, okay, which is and I don't know the math behind it, but a 5th should be a certain ratio, right, to where basically this harmonic, if I played C and G, this harmonic would be just totally in tune between the two notes, okay? And you would just hear a straight tone, just totally straight. Okay, so like here, I'll take, let's see, where am I right now? Okay, here's the B flat and an E flat, and this might not demonstrate it with the sound quality we have, but this has a pulse to it. It goes, wah, wah, wah. So it's not quite pure. I'm going to try and make it pure here. Let's see. I'll try and make it pure. I'm going to pull up the B flat. So there. That's as close to no beats as you can get. So that's pure, okay? Because the B flat and the E flat are tuned a certain distance from each other, okay? Now, when I say wide, when I say a fourth needs to be wide, I'm saying we need to take one of those members and make it and tune it away from each other, okay? Yeah, you can hear that ring pure. So in equal temperament, what I'm going to do, since I'm let's see if I pretend the E flat's already in tune, I'm going to make the B flat flatter, okay? And now that's a wide fourth, and it'll have a beat to it at that point, or a slow roll. And the fourths have a slow roll of about a beat per second when you're listening to that coincident partial between those two notes. They both have that frequency in them. And when that frequency is slightly out of tune, you're going to hear a beat at about a beat per second. When I say narrow, you know, if you had an interval that's pure, then you're going to take one of those members and make it more narrow. And it will also, the more narrow you make it, the beats will speed up. You go back to pure, the beats will be pure, no beats. Then you go wide, the beats will speed up the wider you go, right? It's the same as like tuning a unison. Same thing as phasing in and out, okay? Hopefully that helps. So this fourth is not pure. None of the fourths are pure. The fourths are one of the, you know, they sound pretty close to pure, but they're busier than fifths and certainly than octaves. I keep pulling on this note and it's not moving in pitch yet. Yes, so when I say wide, it's slightly, it's wider than a pure interval, yes. And all the major thirds in an equal temperament are very wide. You hear a faster beat, right? Wah, 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 usually somewhere around there, and those change. And the minor thirds are about twice as fast as that in how fast they go, you know, so. That's a great question, though, Kirk. I'm glad you asked that question. But we need to measure these intervals with a beat usually, because with a post note that's kind of the reference, so we can compare beat speeds, because we're making such a small change in pitch, you know, because like a fifth, for instance, will sound pretty close to pure, but it's not pure, and you need to get it just narrow correctly, and all of them the same amount narrow in equal temperament. And that's the challenge. This piano didn't wander that much. Just some of the notes, because I was tugging on the strings, leveling them the other day, and it knocked them way out of tune. So some notes were way out of tune, and we only did one pass. So what happens when you do that is the string then will fall in the direction it was back about 25% in pitch where it was, and so so that's why it's not perfectly in tune after just the one tuning yesterday. Okay, Kirk Loy says, when you are saying pure, is that synonymous or just synonymous with just intonation? Okay, you just might quit me right now because I don't know the theory behind just intonation. I don't know the definition of that tuning because I don't need to. So I don't remember what just intonation is. I'd have to like watch a video on it or something. I will say though, Kirk, I think when you hear about just intonation, that's a system of tuning the 12 notes from each other and how that's done in the different keys. Whereas when we talk about a pure interval, it's just talking about comparing two notes and eliminating the beats between that spacing of notes. Okay, I'm done with the temperament. It wasn't that far out. That didn't sound good to me. That's a little better. This fourth sounds too pure. Sure enough. Just a little bit. Okay, got it. Okay, now we're gonna move on. I'm gonna tune octaves down a little bit. And I like to think of tuning octaves, just make them disappear into each other where it sounds like one tone. Okay, Tim asks, what was your hammer hardener that you used and do the supply houses sell it? Okay, the hammer hardener, it comes in these little crystals, pellets, like plastic, and it's called Paraloid. I'll type it in. Paraloid. Oops. Let me get where did I put my mouse? Apparently I need my mouse. Okay, here we go. Let's put that in again. Paraloid B72. Sorry, I don't like to not use capitals normally. But anyway, it's a chemical, it's not a chemical, it's non-toxic. It's been used in museums for years and years to preserve artifacts. They can mix it up as a thin coating or a glue to repair artifacts. And it comes in these crystals, and you can dissolve it in different things. You could dissolve it in very high proof alcohol. You could dissolve it in acetone. I do it in acetone. And you can get it in supply houses, but some technicians have just basically repackaged it and marked it up. So you can go on eBay or just Google search Paraloid B72 and get it from a chemical supply house for a lot cheaper. So, and you just get a bag of it, and then you have to choose how you're going to dilute it. Sorry, I'm gonna get a mute that actually stays for me. So this tuning's pretty good. I mean, a lot of notes have stayed. But I'm going to tune it and prepare it, voice it just as if it was going to be recorded or in a concert, so that I know it's just that it can be just the best it can. Let's see. Tim asks if the Paraloid B72 is similar to dissolving key tops in acetone. Same idea. You're dissolving a plastic, and then it's reconstituting in the hammer and drying up. Yes. I've never used key top, but I have used Paraloid, and it dries so fast. In 15 minutes, if you put a few drops on the hammer, 15 minutes, it's not going to change after that. Unless the hammer already has lacquer in it, which these do, then the acetone will kind of solve some of the lacquer that's in there and reconstitute it. And so after about a half hour, you'll get another burst of tone that comes, but it's usually a good thing. It doesn't make it over bright at that point. And I don't mess around with my hardeners. I don't do really thin dilutions of things. I do pretty strong mixes, and then rely on my needle to refine what's there. If anyone out there has done a lot of tuning, maybe you've experienced this. There are certain times of the year when I'll feel like, have I forgotten how to tune, or why? It just seems like my tunings aren't as stable and they don't hold as well. Sometimes, just at certain times of the year, and I'll think it's something I've changed with my technique, and it's just the weather. It's just the way the instrument's responding to relative humidity changes and temperature changes, and I always have to remind myself of that and just say, this too shall pass, that kind of thing. So Kirk says he just kind of keying into the beats, he'll He'll make like a Chewbacca sound with his uvula, it sounds like, at the speed of the beat. I don't know if that's helpful. If it's helpful to you, it's helpful. So I don't think I'll demonstrate that here. If you want to jump on the video, if you want to jump on the stream, you can demo for us if you'd like. Yeah, key tops I know is a go-to for a lot of people. It's really strong and everything. I mean, is it totally solidified in 15 minutes? I don't know. You can maybe. This area of the Model D on a Steinway is one where I feel like I used an electronic tuner. I've used an electronic tuner a lot in the past, and this is one area where the default on that tuner, I think, will tend to stretch this lower tenor range quite a bit to where the octave has a noticeable roll to it. And I don't like that. And I think that when you play it with this F2 with the A3, it sounds out of tune. Right? It still has a beat right now, but when that F is tuned flatter, that beat is even more prominent. For some reason, when I tune this way by ear and just make them, nice and clean, it sounds more pleasing, even though there's that beat there. And I've had a lot of string players that really throws them off. Okay, I'm going to tune the unisons in my temperament strip now. These are new, it's a new piano, so the tuning pins are nice and tight. Kind of snug in there. As soon as I have to do a little more playing around to get them settled. That D doesn't sound too good. It's like a little brighter, but I mean also the unison's here. I wonder if it's a mating thing, string mating thing. Yeah, that right string is hitting first, so I'm gonna file the hammer right where it hits. And that D just has a quality that's it's kind of exciting, some higher frequency gunk, and see if we can minimize that. See if that did anything here. Sounds a little cleaner. It's mated. That noise is there, but it doesn't bother me as much. When I go back through and needle, it'll probably be just right. Sometimes you might see me like listen back or cock my head differently. I'm listening. I'm trying to take myself out to the micro focus and listen to what the note sounds like in the room. Also, I don't have as much hearing in my left ear as my right, and so I think maybe I do that subconsciously to kind of balance the sound that's coming right from here. To be a good piano tuner, one of the things, you don't necessarily have to hear things very loudly. You just have to be able to hear them and discern them, the kind of noise it is. So I think, even with some hearing loss, you can be a good tuner if anyone was worried about that. To a point, right? Okay, that's the end of where we tuned the octaves already. Now we're gonna get to the area where let's see, how can I say that? Where we're tuning more octaves, right? I was just tuning unisons on the notes that I'd already tuned in the temperament. Now we're gonna tune some new octaves, this B flat. Well, it's already really close. last night I was playing this. I had been working on it, voicing, playing it a ton. I think my ears were just done because I thought it sounded awful. The tuning, I thought it was just going awful, and I think I was just fatigued. Because now that I'm going through it with the tuning, I'm not changing that much. That D is quite bright. You hear that? We'll address that with needling. It'll go away. If there's any tuning questions out there, if you're not sure what's going on right now, I'm just tuning this piano before we can do a fine voice and do it a fine tuning, refining the voicing a bit, and it's a great time to ask questions about tuning. The delivery on this piano was delayed a little bit because I think the building's being remodeled and they need a certificate of occupancy first. And so there's not the rush on finishing it this week like there was before. And I probably should be working on another piano back at the shop, finishing it to get some cash flow. But I just had to get my revenge on this piano. Last night I just did not feel settled about it. But I think that's so much a part of this work is like continually trying to refine something, continually trying to, seek to have it be better. Yes, you do have to find a balance in that. Okay. Thanks, Caleb. We'll see you. Okay, Kirk Loy says some of the hammers on that piano, I inherited have indents on them that contour the springs. Should I try and fix that, or is that biting off more than I can chew as a newbie? Is there any chance you can give me a picture, show me what you're talking about, or jump on the video? I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about with the springs. Um, are you talking about grooves in the hammer that are worn from hitting the strings over and over? This is the first note I put paraloid on. Way over the top bright, but it has a power and a strength to it now. When I needle it, it won't be swallowed, but it'll sound beautiful again. Trying to do a screen share. Okay, what you need to do is just click the link up at the top of the chat that I pinned, and then you'll just need to click join the enter the show or whatever it says. You don't have to download anything. It's just goes really nice on a phone. Oh, and Kirk says the thing he's talking about is the wear on the hammers after being hit from the strings for a long time. Is that something he should try and take on? You'll have to file the hammers, which it's astoundingly easy your first few times of that to just massacre a set of hammers. The other thing is if they're really deep, there might not be enough felt left on those hammers. It might be a wasted effort because the sound's not going to be that great because the felt, you'll get down too low to where the felt is hard or too flat on the top. So we'll just have to see on that particular piano how worn it is. If there's still a way you can jump on the StreamYard, maybe we can take a look together. Oh, it's not jumping on. That's weird. It says Kirk says he's been trying to get on the StreamYard, but he can't. I don't know what's up with that. I don't have any trouble. That's how I'm joining with this second camera. Are you on this? Are you joining the chat from the same device? Use a different device. Or close out YouTube first. There he is. There's Kirk. All right, let's bring you on here. Okay, I'm going to bring you on,
Don't
Kirk.
mind the kids. But yeah, if you look here, well, I've got it all torn apart, but let's see here.
I might need to get a flashlight or put this in some better lighting, but I don't know if you can see this well, but there are little dents that look like indents from the strings on my hammers. Mostly, well, I guess they're all over. I didn't know if that was something I could file out and or if that was biting off more than I could chew.
Okay, let me bring this to a bigger view. There it is. Can you turn the camera to the landscape?
Yeah, here we go.
There we go. Let's take a look. Okay, now show me the view looking down from the top on those so I can see how deep they are.
Oh yeah, here.
That'll kind
They're
of show.
pretty.
It's like the opposite of tire tread.
Yeah, I don't know if
Right.
that's a in focus or not, but
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it
yeah.
great. We can see it great here. So the grooves are quite long. That's the bass section. Let's take a look at the highest treble hammer. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's on all of the hammers.
Right, right. What I'm looking at though, go to the highest hammer and let's see how much felt is left if you were to sand down to where the groove has worn.
Oh,
Is there any felt left or would it be hitting wood at that point?
oh, good question. I'd have to go. I
If I
suppose
can
I need
see
to
the
move this.
profile of the hammer, if I can see it from the side.
Yeah, let me move this into better lighting. Girls, stop touching it, please. Let's see here.
Kids are very helpful, I find, with projects like this.
All right. Yeah, like you said, from the side here.
Let me see, yeah, how many millimeters of felt we've got. If you can,
I'd have to run out to my. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good camera job here.
it's hard. It's not easy. I'm finding. If you can
Yeah,
peel
it's
that
like.
can you peel the camera around to the side so I can see? It can even be either side. Doesn't matter.
Uh.
Okay, looks like okay. We almost got it in view there. There. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got plenty of felt there.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be
Yeah.
close, but that's okay. Those hammers need to be close to the wood to have good tone anyway.
Okay.
I don't know if there's currently a really good if there's a really good video on hammer shaping for an upright piano. Have you seen anything?
The only one I could find, Howard's Piano Supply. I suppose they got some repair videos on an upright like this, and they had something where they were filing hammers, but I didn't watch it all the way. I thought, oh man, I might be uncovering, a money pit here.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, you just need now. It's helpful with an upright action to have. You can buy a kind of a cradle for it, or these
Uh-huh.
stands that clamp on either end, and then you can rock the action back on its back, kind of, but it's floating in the air. If you can imagine.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so then it's flat on a workbench and it's easier, and you need to cut thin strips of paper, sandpaper, like what I was using the other day on the grand piano. I don't
Hmm.
know if you're around, but I've got one here. Um, and I'll back it with packing tape.
I've got
Packing tape.
I've got a bunch of emery cloth. Are you familiar with that material?
Yeah, you could try it.
It's like sandpaper with the cloth back. Would that be
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. Some people use that for shaping
Okay.
hammers for sure.
I have a bunch of that left over from machining, so I have got plenty of that stuff.
You want a pretty coarse grit, like you'll want about an 80 grit.
Yeah, I've got like 60, 80, 120, 200. I've got it in like all
And one of the
shades.
challenges, if you show your piano there, people can see. One of the challenges with an upright hammer is that sorry, you got to go to the other side of the room there.
Oh.
Oh, on the action. If you look at the action.
Oh. You want the front or the back?
From the top, looking down from the top. So see the dampers there are kind of in the way of getting into that underside of the hammer to shape it. That's what's challenging about an upright.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
your hand and the paper has to kind of fit under there. Now the action will be rocked on its back, so that'll make it a little bit easier. But I'm gonna see if I
Okay.
can find a video for you on that. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Just email me to remind me if I can.
Okay.
I think I have a friend that does some videos. He might have done one.
Okay. Yeah, I think I
As
can
far
rig
as
something
cost-
up to. Girls, turn the TV off. I can't hear.
As far as cost, it's just going to be your sandpaper. Now, usually when you do that on a piano, when you file those away, it's really bright. So you're going to
Okay.
need some kind of a needling thing to soften those hammers so that it's not too bright. And did you see? I don't know if you saw what I used. That it was just like a skinny wood dowel with like 4 number 6 or 7 needles, sewing needles, glued into a slot. Like I just cut a slot in that dowel, and I epoxied those needles in there. You could do something like that that's just about an inch long. Then when you have your piano together, you can kind of just push that on the hammer where the grooves were, and that'll help soften the felt there, and it'll make a better tone once you're done shaping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw those when I was ordering the felt and punchings for my keys. I saw that tool there at the piano supply store I was looking at, and I was like, oh, maybe I should get that, but looks like I'm gonna wind up buying it anyway.
Yeah, or you can just or just make one out of a dowel, you know, if that's easier, or whatever. But yeah, I have a tool that the head will pivot, right,
Mhm.
and then it locks in place so it can kind of reach under for an upright.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say, because otherwise I'd have to take this thing out every time to try and get in there and get my hand in without
yeah,
banging
and that's
against the
not really
strings.
feasible. You just want to be able to kind of do it real time, kind of like I am through the strings on this grand piano.
Hmm.
But that's great. Yeah, no, you could. I don't think you're. It's just hard to sometimes get them straight across, especially on the angled hammers.
Okay.
You know, it's just challenging. But if you go slow, I mean, it'll definitely make a difference. Just
Yeah,
give it
I'll
a
give it a
go.
shot. I've filed and sanded more things than I care to think about, so
Yeah,
I,
I'm
hopefully
sure
that
you could figure
translates.
out a way. Yeah, then to do it. But
All
then
right.
I'll see. Yeah, if you send me a little reminder email, I'll see if I can find a good video on it.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hey,
Yeah, certainly.
on trying to date this piano, when
Oh,
taking it
I can do that
apart
right
on
now.
the keys, there's a signature on one of them, and if it has a date on there, and I had this piano in 2018, so I know that it wasn't somebody's servicing that wrote that on there. So
Yeah.
should I
Here,
assume this is over 100 years old?
I'll go on my online atlas right now. Here. What is the make? What's the brand?
It's Wellington, and then it says manufactured by the Cable Company, Chicago.
Oh, okay. Let's see what Wellington brings up. Yeah. Okay. What's the serial number on the plate there?
It's
The
20934.
Okay, so 6 digits.
Mm-hmm.
209. That's 1917.
Ah, hey, the keys didn't lie.
No. And you know, this atlas that I have, anyone can get a little subscription. It's about like 10, $12 a year or something. If anyone listening wanted to get it, anyway. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for your help. Sorry, I keep moving my head to the phone here. The
Oh no,
audio
that's
is not
fine.
very loud from my phone on this application.
No,
And
I
plus, I
got
got
you.
the
Yeah,
kids in the
no,
background.
no, it's fine. All right, I'll get back to tuning then. Thanks.
All right. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yep, yep. Oh, I gotta change my mic setup
Again
again.
here, so we get the right thing going on. Sometimes on an old upright piano like that, when you have really deep grooves on the hammers, what happens is sometimes the hammers will be a little wiggly. Those joints will be wobbly from wear or damage over time. And so sometimes it'll hit on not the same place every time on the hammer. And so with those grooves there, it might hit a hill or a valley, and the tone will drastically change, be really choked or become brighter. And so removing those grooves will give you a lot cleaner and stronger tone on an old upright piano. I mean, there comes a point where you might as well change out the hammers, but that piano that Kirk just showed us was doable to shape those hammers, and it would be a lot better. I hope some of you see that, how Kirk jumped onto the video, and I hope that becomes a thing because it's really cool to connect with people that way. And there's a lot of stuff you can diagnose just if someone was holding the camera and, pointing it in the right spot. And I know it, if I know what to look for there. All right, Kirk. Kirk says he's got to head out. Thank you, Kirk. My computer says it's not charging. I want to see what's up with that. Okay, I got to get my charger plugged in there. That's why. So we're about done tuning this. I can tell on this action, just playing it, tuning it. It feels so much like a great piano, more so now that I freed up those joints a little bit. Oh, my other camera's not showing anything here, is it? Sorry about that. Let's see if we can get something, at least where I'm playing here on there. There we go. People in the past have had tuning questions about the high treble. Here I'm tuning the high treble. If anyone out there, has any questions related to that, it'd be a good time, appropriate time to talk about it. Turn this a little bit. Sometimes you really have to wrestle these new pins to get them kind of set, rotated in the right place that's going to be stable. This one's kind of moving around on me. You know how to get a piano really stable? You just tune it all the time and have it played on pretty heavy. That scenario makes for a really stable piano, more than any technique you could do with a hammer or anything. Yeah, these notes take a little bit of patience sometimes to get them initially set. And like I said, though, if it's a piano that's tuned a lot, these can become very stable, where you're not really then turning the pin in the block anymore. You're just kind of nudging it one way or another. If you're tuning a new piano and you're really trying to stabilize it and get it set, plan on a little more time than an older piano that's been tuned a lot. these notes have a shorter decay or faster decay, so you have to maybe hit them a little more frequently then to track the tone. So if you do it too much, I think it's annoying. Not that this isn't already annoying, but it's even more annoying. Okay. So now we're going to do some voicing. And let's see if we can kind of get a view on what we're... These 6 notes, we put a hardener on them, so now they're really sounding really bright and thin. Compared to their neighbors. And then we also put some hardener on the last 7 notes, I think. When I first hit that, it had a crust on it. It made a real buzzy sound, and then the second hit, it was broken, and it sounded better. I like that. What it does now is it gets exciting. So you're playing your scale evenly, and the tone all of a sudden gets and it grows a little bit, and that's very exciting. It kind of gives you energy as a pianist. Plus, we've got this 9-foot piano. We just want it to roar, right? Okay, let me get my needle. Let's see. Where is my needle? Oh, it's already here. Sometimes what you're looking for is right where you are. Okay. That kind of almost sounded profound right now. So I'm going to take this B flat. Same thing. I'm just going to kind of just probe a little bit where the grooves are, and then I'm going to go in the middle of them and sink real deep, like about 3/4 of the way down my needle, which in this case is, or halfway down my needle, which is about 4 millimeters up. It's still a little bright. I'm going to listen to the individual strings. The middle string, that's the first one I play is the middle, then the right, and the left. The left and the right are really mellow, and the middle has this really loud harmonic, this bright metallic sound. I don't want to kill that totally, but now they all sound similar. Still maybe a little bit too much of that. So maybe I'll just I'm probing, and I'm coming towards me on the string groove along it, towards me just a little bit till I found a really hard spot, then I sunk deep. I like that. I'm going to move on to the B. Look, as I play the 2 B flat and B evenly, the B sounds way louder, but I'm hitting it to the same degree. So I'm going to go ahead and same thing, sink a deep needle right in the middle of the strike point. That one I hit right on the money. It just sounds good. Now this C, it has a lot of this string noise from this front waist end. I want to see if it's mated first before I needle. The right string is being struck first, and then the others, and so it's not quite mated. I'm gonna file the hammer where that right string hits, just down a little bit on the C, so that it hits all 3 strings at the same time, And that will help clean up the tone and make it a little more consolidated. Right now it sounds kind of frayed, okay? Let's see if I overdid it or not. And so the tone sounds a little more powerful to me here, but it still has a lot of that string noise. So let's listen. It's mated now. I'm going to listen to the individual strings. The right and the left sound have this metallic sound. Here's the right, middle, left. The right and the middle are responsible for making that noise a lot. I'm going to probe on the top of the strike point, find a hard place right on the strike point, and dig deep. Now it sounds a lot more clean, but it still has power. Here's the middle string, right, left. So the right string still has some of this that's really high. I'm not trying to totally kill it. I'll go ahead and maybe do one more needle there. That note totally cleaned up. Okay, now this C sharp sounds really bright, but it also sounds thin and frayed, okay? I'm going to check the mating on it again. The outside strings are being struck and the middle is floating. It's not being struck at the same time, so I'm going to file the hammer again. Oh, what note was that? Was that C sharp? Here, I'll bring you down here. I'm just going to C sharp. So I'm going to take my nail file that you can get at the drugstore anywhere. I got that trick from a Steinway concert and artist division technician who was here on a project, and he's like, "Oh, I just use these." And ever since I thought, "Oh, it's brilliant, brilliant." Okay, let's see here now. Okay, if you're just joining, feel free to just say hi on the chat, or if you have piano issues, you can join with video and kind of show me what they are. If there's something you want to troubleshoot together, I'm happy to help you. Oh, wow, so that's the C sharp. I'm hearing a lot more of the actual musical tone of it. Let's see if it's mated now. No, it's not, because now here I'm going right to left. I filed the ends, the edge. I filed where the two side strings are because they were hitting first, and now I overdid it and the middle's hitting first. So I need to file the middle a little bit. That's not a fail. That's just you're gonna have that with this work. So that was C sharp 6. I'm gonna just a little light pass over the middle string groove. And then we're gonna stick this back in. I'm getting really excited because this piano's sounding good finally. Okay, still sounds kind of bright, correct? Let's hear the mating though. The middle is still needs to be filed lower even. So I didn't think I filed the sides that hard, but I guess I did. All right. So when a note sounds really weird and gross, go first to the mating. Fix that by, maybe filing certain areas of the hammer. Now that note, the musical tone of it is very strong. Let's hear the mating. Okay, it's mated. Now let's hear the individual strings. The two right ones are a little brighter, more metallic than the rest. Here's the middle, right, left. Oops. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of probe around and sink a needle deep into the strike point again. Because I want a deeper tone, but that's still strong. Oh, that's delicious. Now, it speaks out, it pops out very easily above the rest. Now, I can tell though, from the quality of that note, that's a note I'm probably going to be revisiting needling a lot over the life of the piano, just because it inherently has some. Oh, you know what? When we needled, the mating's off again. I'm going to refine it just because it's kind of a gross note. So I need to file the edges again. I'm going to be careful not to overdo it this time. So here we go on C sharp 6. Hey! Sorry about that. C sharp 6. I can barely see the string grooves, but I'm just going to lightly go over the sides where it was hitting first. And wow. Well, let's see what we got. Okay. All right. I know. This is pretty. Never. Don't hire me as your cameraman, right? Maybe your piano tuner. Just be glad that at least I know a little bit about that. Okay. All right. What do we got here? Let's put the cheek. I put the cheek blocks in every time. I don't know if you've noticed that, because it's so important that the action be located exactly in the same spot. Because here we are mating these strings to a very subtle degree. You don't want that to change. The left is singing just a little bit. I'm going to needle the left side, and it'll puff it up a little bit. And the tone is a little more clear. Let's hear it now. Now it's mated. So I mated it by needling, okay? The note's just a little bit brighter than its neighbors, so I'm going to try and do a needle in all three and be really consistent the way I'm doing it. I didn't push as deep with the needle that time. I just went, maybe a little, like a couple millimeters. Now it's starting to sound really clear, right? But with ease, I can bring those tones out. I'm not hearing a lot of gross metallic sound, but they don't feel weak to me anymore. Okay, next one, the D. If I play them evenly, the D sticks out more. Let's check the mating, although I think the mating's good on this one. Nope, it's not. So I need to file the middle string groove and a little bit on the left, is what I heard. Okay, so this is the D, middle string groove, and a little bit on the left. Let's see what we got. There, I'm hearing more of the fundamental come out. When I say the fundamental, I mean the frequency that's the lowest frequency that the string creates. A little bit on the right side and the left, just a little bit. Okay. A little bit on the left. This is hard work, you're shoving this 40, 50-pound action in and out, re-pushing the cheek blocks. It takes a little bit of drive, you know. There, that's mated. No, it still sounds really bright. Let's listen to the individual strings. So here's the middle, right, left. So the right string is more bright than the rest, but I want to preserve that mating. If I poke it with a needle, it's going to puff up and change the mating. So I'm going to try and go on all three a little more conservatively, and but uniformly in the same spot, front to back on the hammer. Good. Now this C sharp became bright again a little bit. I'm going to see if I put my finger on this front duplex here. Hear how that sounds choked now? To me it does anyway. I've already needled this right. I don't want to go chasing stuff around. I'm going to take a little piece of felt and I tuck it in these strings and just let it sit there. It slightly dampens it without choking it all the way. But otherwise, I think the temptation would be to over needle this note and then it'll be weak again. Let me see here. Let me get a little piece of red felt. And something like this. This is bushing cloth. It's a woven. It's a stitched felt, and I'm just going to take a thin strip of it here, and I'm going to place it. Let's see if you can see this. Let's see without me getting in the shadow here. Let's see if we can pull this off. Okay, it's that note. I'm just going to stick this red piece of felt, just tuck it. Okay, I missed. I'm holding the camera here. Sorry about that. I got to fish it out of there. Okay. I'm just bending it in half, inserting it into the strings like so. And now let's hear it. Now I'm going to push it all the way towards this bar that I can, and I'm going to kind of lift it up a little bit so that it's not choking the tone significantly. I just barely want it to damp this noise in the front so that it matches the other notes a little better. There, it sounds good. Now it does still sound a little bit bright compared to the others, so I'm going to do a needle on all three grooves to preserve the mating. Okay, it's good. The D, after you needle these, they kind of heal. The hammer kind of self-heals and the brightness comes back, so you kind of have to hit it a couple times sometimes. That's what happened to this D. And the C sharp. So I've got enough hardener in there that's but what that means, that's good. That means these notes aren't going to be weak anymore. I'm not going to have that issue, and it's in a sensitive part of the melody section of the piano where we want it to be definitely not weak. Okay, one more of these. This E flat. We're gonna mate it. Okay, I need to file the outside strings. It's E flat. So you might say, like, is this worth it? Like, is it making, like, are we going to hear this difference on stage or in recording? that much where it's going to be that much more pleasing? I think so, yes. And you know, when you play a piano, if you play, you'll play some pianos, you'll be like, you'll hit a note, you think, oh, that sounds different, or that sounds a little weird. I wish it didn't sound that way. I wish it sounded like this note next to it because it would be more beautiful in the melody. That's kind of what we're fixing. Still need to file the right side only, just a little bit. All right. I mean, obviously there's pianos out there that it wouldn't make sense to go doing this. You know, there'd be things that would be a lot that you'd want to address first foundationally that are wrong with the piano. This is kind of like the finishing touches. Wow, that's speaking out a lot stronger to me in this room now. Yes, it's bright, but it's also, it has more body. It's made it better. I need to still do the left string singing a little bit, so it's not hitting the left string at the same time. I'm going to file the right very gently and then the middle. Let's see if that gets us where we need to be. I'm kind of getting happy about this project. Okay, it's strong, it's clear. Okay, the right singing, I'm going to poke a needle on the right side. Same thing, it'll puff it up. Now I'm going to check my mating. I'm going to do a needle. Now the middle and the left are singing a little bit, so I'm going to poke my needle there. It's mated. Sounds pretty clean. It's just stronger than its neighbors. So now I'm going to probe a needle a little more aggressively. One needle in each, a deep needle in each of the stringers. What does the needling do? It makes a hole in the felt, and then it kind of self-heals, and then the felt isn't as compact and hard. It's a little more pliable, and so it makes it so that when it hits the string, it's like hitting a mallet instrument with something like with yarn instead of hard plastic. Okay, so the response, the bounce off of the string, if it's harder or softer, will sound brighter or more mellow. And it can also, when the hammer overall deep down is softer, then you have more cushion. So you're actually bringing the levels down on the sound of that so that it matches. This one's still a little strong. I'm going to needle all the way with my tool now. It matches a lot better. It's good, but it just sounds not as velvety as some of the others. I want to needle again. Now I like it. It sounds more dainty, sweet, dolce. I'm going to go even further with it because I know now this hammer's hard enough with what I've put in it that I can now needle it pretty aggressively without killing it. Okay, the middle's ringing a little brighter. The mating is still good. I'm just going to kind of probe the middle, see what it is I'm hitting. There's a hard spot probably on the side away from me, so that on a soft attack it wasn't Now it's got a nice soft attack, but it could be sharp, and sharp isn't the right word, but it's, you know what I mean. It can be focused and intense. So it's sounding really good. Except look, when I push the unicorda pedal, we need to needle the unicorda pedal position, and we will do so. And I'm not too afraid that it's going to kill the notes at this point. I'm not going to go very deeply with these needles. This is the tool here, which is just a hammer shank with a bunch of needles in it. But I'm going right where in between the grooves, where the strings hit when you push the left pedal. And I'm just kind of tapping it, making it a little softer on contact. Get out some of that pingy metallic sound that was there when we push the pedal. Okay. 2 more notes on there that we need to hit. I'm also going on the left edge of the hammer just in case that's hard again from putting hardener on it. You kind of always have to do that. And settle that felt in. Okay, let's push the action in. See where we're headed with this. Oh, it's sounding good. When I play that scale, it sounds really smooth. I don't hear stuff poking out. The only thing I don't like about this piano is the una corda sound. I'm going to be very careful and just put a needle in that position from the top, a little deeper. When I say I'm going to be very careful, I mean I hope I don't mess up the mating, basically, is what I'm saying. The only thing I don't like on this piano right now is how the una corda position sounds. It just has a weird sound in this treble area to me. Well, that's because I need to poke that with a needle. But what's going to be the best thing for this is if someone played this and used the una corda pedal a lot. don't get me wrong, it's not like awful or really weird sounding. This is just a subtle thing. That B has a little bit of a metallic sound when I shift the action over. Just gonna soften in between the grooves again a little more. The unisons are out now on this C for whatever reason. So now I'm just going to even out just a little bit. That G sticks out in that pattern for whatever reason. Okay, now I feel like it's sounding like a good instrument. So last night I didn't really, or whenever it was I worked on it last, I didn't quite feel it. That's with the unicorda pedal. Yeah, I missed. Okay, sorry. That's kind of the improvised version of that because I don't remember how it really goes. Anyway. Let's see. So it's pretty good. How does it sound to you? I realize you can't hear all the sustain as well. Yeah, how's it sounding out there on the stream? I don't know. I think arrived, okay? It's so clear, you know, but you can be so intimate too. You can just be like, you know, that's just such a mellow sound. You know, you can also be like, I don't really know that song either. I hear stuff in competitions, and then I think, oh, that's a cool song. I should learn a bit, and then I'll get as far as like just kind of reproducing the themes and not know what key it's in or whatever. And I'll have to ask somebody. I know I could get the score and learn it. Probably I should do that, but. Okay, so here's a little bit. Let's see, a little Chopin. Yeah, so you know, I was really laying into it. It's a fun instrument to play now, you know. The sound is getting clipped. Oh yeah, it's so loud. Yeah, there's no way it can handle this, you know, unfortunately. But yeah, it's that's what you're looking for though. A piano that will do, you'll have a big dynamic range, you know. And the loud is you're not going to pick up. But now the only other thing I have to do is putting it together. I noticed when I cinch these blocks down with the screws, it's pushing down too hard on the action, and it feels like there's friction, like when I push the left pedal, that it's pushing through something, and I don't want it to be that way. So one thing that controls it on this new mechanism is, I think, well, it's the same thing I kind of did in the bass, but I'm going to have to do it to the treble too, I think. Okay, here's the mechanism, and I'm going to need the Allen wrenches again, of course. Which I hope. Oh, I put them back where they go. What do you know? It's a bag in my car. I'll be right back. Okay. I just needed an Allen wrench for this adjustment. which I hope I put back where it goes. Yeah, and I did. Okay. So I think it was 3 millimeters. And what I need to do is I need to loosen these screws and then tighten them just a little bit so that this plate can still move up and down, right? But in order for that, I need to back off this. There's a hex screw through there, and it's a pointed. It's a conical screw, so that the more you push it in, and this is really hard to see on here, but the more you push it this way, it'll push this aluminum looking thing that way, and it'll force the plate down and put more pressure on the action. We need to put less pressure on the action. All we need to make sure is that the ends of the frame don't knock, but we don't want it so much that we had where it's hard to what's the word, shift the action. Guess what? This one we might be at its limit. We'll see. Okay, I'll have to take a 5-minute break. I will be back. I'm going to keep the stream running. Okay. Let's see, did we lose everybody? Not quite. Okay. I'm here to adjust this now. Now, what I'm wondering is whether or not this was almost at its limit, but no, clearly not. So watch as I turn this screw. See this thing go up? And it'll bear down against the wood and then push the plate down further, okay? That's just a demonstration of what it does. Now I'm going to loosen it. And what we want to do now is push this all the way up. Okay. Now I want these screws a little bit tighter so that it'll hold its adjustment once I adjust it. I'm just barely snugging them so that we can still force the plate, and then I'll retighten them in a moment. I don't know if that's redundant or unnecessary. Like, I don't know if I could tighten those screws all the way and the screw would still force it down, but something tells me no. And when we had a little Steinway technician hobnob, indeed, they said to kind of do it this way. So it's probably a good indicator it's the way to go. All right, so we're going to stick this in here, and I'm going to push this down and see if I get a knock. Just a little bit. And the knocking is from the gap that's right here between this frame piece. I can lift it up, right? Like, see if I can lift that up so you can see. See, I can kind of lift that up. That's where the knock's coming from, okay? So now I'm gonna, so when I hold this down, simulating the screw being tight, or I might as well just, let's not simulate it, let's do it. Tighten the screw here. I still get a knock. So I'm gonna reach my Allen wrench in that hole, that access hole, and I'm gonna turn this a little bit till I feel it start to turn that, push the plate down, which will put more pressure on the action. Okay, I felt something happen there. Still knocking, but it's knocking easier, which means it's closer. Okay, we're almost there. It's more faint, okay. Still there, but more faint. I think what the issue is, I'm gonna tighten the base side block down over here too, and see what my friction feels like on the pedal. See, because these cheek blocks do have to be quite snug or they kind of creak, because the finish on here is polyester. So when you get two polyester pieces and they shift against each other, it makes some noise. So we don't want that. Okay, so a little bit of a knock. We might have to loosen the base side a little more. Maybe I overdid it. Okay, the reason I don't want to knock is this key bottoms out on that rail, so that knock will transfer through. And also, if the frame moves when I hit it, I lose energy, and the note's not as strong. Okay, I'm going to go a little further with it. I think we have a little bit of an issue with the key frame, but we're going to work around it. There, now it's not a prominent knock, and the action is actually still shifting a lot smoother than what it was. So I'm going to see if I can afford to lighten up on the pressure on this base side too. Okay, let's see. I've got to take it out. I've got to loosen those two screws, same as the other side. Just a bit. And then I've got to run run this Allen screw out again so that we can force the plate higher, okay? Okay, I'm gonna put that back in, knock. There's a knock. I'm gonna turn the Allen, put the Allen wrench in there and give it a little turn. Gotta find that screw, it's kind of tricky on this side for whatever reason. There it is. Still there. I need to cinch the block down with the screw. I forgot to do that. The screw that's underneath here. Gotta tighten that all the way. The knock's gone, so I already might have gone a little much. Let me see. I'm gonna pull that out again. I backed that little adjustment screw out just a tiny bit when I realized I might have already gotten there. So now I should be able to push up on this plate a little bit. And it should be there. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna try and tighten the screw again on the bottom. Little stuff like this, it makes a big difference actually to a player. You know, you want it all working, right? So there's no knock here. I can kind of get one on the very end. I'm gonna, but the action shifts correctly. Let's see if it makes a difference with the action shifting if I just go a little further down to get rid of that knock. Let's see. Still fine. There. The action shifts smoothly enough. And there's no knock. Well, I can get one on the very end. I might have to live with that though, and accept that it's just the very, very end. It's not going to affect the play as much. And the action's going to shift. Okay, we're going to leave it there. So I've just got to tighten those screws again. Lock that in place. Hopefully it doesn't move it. I don't think it does though. No, it's good. Okay. Tighten the adjustment screws on the other side. And then someone will obviously have to wipe all my prints off of this piano, but that's not too big a deal. Okay, I'm going to tighten these screws here. Okay, now the action's located. And the reason I make a point of that, someone once told me, they said, don't you need to take those cheek blocks out? But I put them in to locate the action in the right spot. I don't want to lose my Allen wrench in the piano. I want to make sure there's no tools left in there. Okay, so that it's located in the right spot. Now I can pull these and get the fall board and reinstall it here. Grab that. I'm going to watch my left side and ease it in there so it's really close, and then let it down on the sharps. I love that sound. You can tell if the piano's voiced right then and there when you just set that on the sharps. Put one side, put on the other side. And then we're going to lift carefully. We're going to lift up, back, and down. And we're going to tighten these screws, cheek block screws. Sound is a little different when you're sitting at the piano when you actually put all these pieces on. It makes a difference to me. So I always kind of like to listen to it when everything's closed, when everything's put together, I should say. Good. The action shifts much smoother now. It returns. Before, I was worried it wouldn't return all the way up against the left side where it rests. Yes. Okay, let me get the key slip. And the dealer here, normally if I was in a home, I would clean everything off, but the dealer can handle that. They'd rather, they can handle that for less money than paying me to clean a piano. They can clean a piano. That's good. Oh, we never tuned the bass, did we? We didn't fine tune the bass. No problem. We can do that. I also did not needle after putting hardener on the very bottom 7 notes because I liked the sound the way it was. I think it'll be just fine. Needle at D. Forgot about that. You know, I know it comes back a little bright. That's just every time you tune, you just touch it up a bit. Just give it a poke with the needle on the top of the hammer, and it's fine. We're all done. So this is really great piano. I'm finally proud of this. In the sense that I feel like, okay, someone who really knows what they're doing could sit down on this and give us a great, beautiful concert, and it's a great and enjoy doing it. So thanks for watching the stream. Now I got to get to my real work at the shop, and I'll open up a stream when I get there if anyone's out. That during those hours, I do have some work still to do there. So thanks again. If you have any final questions, I'll leave the stream open while I'm putting up my bags. If you have any final questions for, on this topic that you want to post to the chat, go ahead and do it. And I will clean up in the meantime. Let's see. All right. Thanks, George. George says, have a great night. I'll watch the videos on tuning. Great. Thank you for tuning in, George. Mhm.